And more breaking news now. The latest honor flight just touched down at CVG about an hour ago. Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan O'Rourke. Rob has the night off. Our Tricia Macke is part of our team coverage for you. She spent all day with local veterans who were on the honor flight to Washington, D.C. And our Peyton Marshall spoke with families anxiously waiting for their loved ones to return home. So Tricia, how special was this trip? I can only imagine.
You know, it's hard to put it into words. It really is. I've met so many unbelievably special, humble, dedicated, I like to say the word wonderful one more time, that it's really hard to put into words how great of the day it is. But here are 3 vets that were with me today, and I asked them to stay here just for a minute because the ceremony just wrapped up, and this is all of their loved ones that were here, and they're wonderful people supporting their loved ones. Tell me what you think was the best part of the day.
Being on the bus with you.
He was one of my favorites, obviously.
No, the changing of the guard,
Yeah.
the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier was phenomenal. Everything was great.
It was.
All the memorials, they were all phenomenal.
Do you think it's hard to put into words?
It is very difficult, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great place to go. If you haven't been to Washington, go.
Yeah.
And
What
see
about
all
you?
the stuff.
What was your best part today?
I've seen some of the memorials before, but the changing of the guard, the changing of the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown, those were very, very neat.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to even sit through that whole thing without being overcome, isn't it?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But I loved it. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
What about you?
I think the best part is I drove down from Cleveland. My son came up from Sarasota. His son flew in from Las Vegas. And just to be with these guys again, and I've known Don since 1967. We went through
56.
Yeah, we went through basic training together. We then went for flight school together, and we've kept in touch and watched our families grow ever since. It's been really rewarding to get together again.
Well, I thank you guys. And your families are wonderful for supporting them. Thanks for your service. God bless you. God bless you. I'm going to bring in Peyton over here because Peyton and I want to talk to you as we're walking down here to another family that I met. Have you ever been on an honor flight before?
I haven't been on there, Tricia, but I've always seen when it's come back and just the families preparing for, family members, friends coming. It's so emotional. Just the preparations, the signs, just the amount of love just for those veterans to come back.
And you are going to, in just a minute, show us that homecoming ceremony that so many, especially as Vietnam veterans, didn't get.
Exactly, and that just adds a whole other layer of emotion to this because they didn't get that in the beginning, so it just hits differently.
I know. I want to introduce you to one person right over here. So I have a lot of favorites today. The tall family right here. I say tall because look at these guys. Everybody's 6'6" and up. I'm going to squeeze in here. Don't move away. So tell me, what do you think about the best part of the day? I know that we hung out a lot today.
Well, we did. Best part of the day, meeting old friends. Yeah. Even though I didn't know them before, but they're friends now.
It seemed to me like on the way to D.C., everybody was a little bit quiet. Then we kind of got a little bit of a lull because we were tired. But on the way home, everybody was very chatty.
Well, there was one vendor there who was selling beer, so that helped.
That helps.
Yeah, that helped.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to the people in Cincinnati that were here today for Welcome You Home?
So people are, thanks for your support for all these years.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Peyton, I'm going to let you take over this microphone and tell us more about this homecoming ceremony because it was wonderful.
It was wonderful. And like he just said, Tricia, it was about the support, right? And I spoke with lots of different wives here tonight who were just, waiting for their husband to come home. One of them said she was, anxious. She didn't know just how overwhelmed he was going to be. But she says that, this trip, she hopes that it really healed many things for him in his life. Take a look.
He has some things to let go of that he's hung on to for many, many years. And there were some difficult times for him, and I'm hoping this maybe brings a little closure to all that. I think maybe with a lot of vets that came home, there was a little bit of guilt. I'm saying that, I know I heard him say a few times, you kind of think, why did I come home? My buddy didn't. That's a horrible thing to live with.
On Tuesday, Judy anxiously waited for her husband Jerry to return from the honor flight here at CVG, where friends, family, relatives, and members of the public gathered at the airport with welcome signs and patriotic colors as a way to thank veterans for their great sacrifice. Judy says Jerry served in the Air Force during Vietnam. She says they have a son who has served 23 years in the Air Force. She says her son knows his service is appreciated, but her husband never received the same gratitude.
These veterans didn't get that big welcome home, the Vietnam era, and I'm sure this plane is not all Vietnam era, but there were a lot of people very opposed to that war, and when the vets came home, they were spit upon, yelled at, criticized. You're putting your life on the line, and then you come home and you think, and you hear things like that said to you by people, and you wonder, why did I go over there and take those chances?
And when Judy was talking to me, she says she is just so proud of her husband, and she's so grateful to see this kind of welcoming for him when he returned. I'm going to bring Tricia back over here. I want to bother her again. Tricia, you had a very unique view of everything, right? You saw so many of those moments. I only see when people, come back from this flight. So what was a moment that really stuck out for you today that kind of grabbed you, just, witnessing all of this?
So there were 81 veterans on this flight today, 40 of which went on to be in law enforcement. And a lot of, I knew a lot of them because they've been in Cincinnati for so long. The ones I think there were two very touching ones, and they were law enforcement officers who went there to the police memorial today, and it was to find Pope and Jeter's name and to find Clifford George's name and to etch that, because it's not something you normally think of when you go to D.C. You think of the big memorials and the names of the veterans, but these were actually veterans and police veterans, and that I think was very touching.
It was actually, I spoke with a veteran who was a Cincinnati police officer, so his son was a Cincinnati police officer as well, so very cool. Thank you so much, Tricia. I look forward to seeing the rest of her coverage and this journey. For now, though, I'm going to send it back to you in studio.